Welcome to Wednesday night's live stream. My name is Jacob Jewett, and if you have joined, if I could speak tonight, you have joined my channel for my live stream that I do every Sunday and every Wednesday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I go for about an hour or two and just talk a bunch of crap. And yeah, so this is my channel. This channel is the Jacob Jewett IT Training and Consulting channel. And basically the premise behind this live stream and the reason for this channel is I worked for some private colleges, got tired of people getting ripped off, and so I want to do my best on helping people get into the IT industry. With little or no money, hopefully. Obviously, certifications and stuff like that are going to cost some money, but basically the whole idea of this channel is to get people interested in IT and stuff like that. So a little bit different. I know there's some other guys out there doing it. A lot of the IT channels out there that I've seen and that I subscribe to myself. Are like, you know, water cooling, like Jay's 2 cents, or gaming and just building rigs. I mean, people build rigs and take them apart, and that's last time you see that machine. It's great and everything, but I would like to do more of like tell you how the system actually works. Hopefully, if you got enough interest, that you get into the IT industry. Of course, if you're watching my channel and you're watching live streams and stuff like that, and you're not interested in getting into the IT industry, don't let yourself be turned off by my channel in that aspect as well, because a lot of the stuff I talk about sometimes, like, you know, tonight I'm going to talk about job advancement and stuff like that, and resumes and things like that. But you know, I have some information I like to cover in that area, but a lot of what I cover not only works for technicians, but also works for someone that's possibly looking for another job, or someone that just wants to learn more about their personal computer and understand it more. And so along those lines, I like to treat this a bit like it's a lecture, in the way that I do have live chat enabled, and I am happy to answer questions that pop up into live chat. There's been a couple streams where I've had some people take me up on that offer, and I hope they've appreciated my answers, and they say they do, so I think I'm doing okay at this point. And if you're not on the live stream and you catch this video after it has been posted, because I post all of my live streams except for the last one. I'll cover that a little bit, but you know, I publish all my live streams, you know, for posterity, and I'll post the last one as well. That one wasn't skipped. I just I have a tendency to, you know, I'm a bit dyslexic, so sometimes I have a tendency to say something or process a thought, and sometimes I skip words. And so I was talking about in the last stream how I think resumes are a living document, and then somehow I got on a tangent about the Constitution, you know, and how some aspects of it, I believe, yeah, you can make it a living document, but other aspects you can't. And then I gave a very brief description of some of the things I like about the Constitution, some of the amendments that were made to the Constitution that I wholeheartedly agree with. And during that description, I meant to say African American, you know, African Americans and women getting the right to vote, and somehow I said something like slaves getting the right to vote, and it's like, no. More in my mind, it was the slaves not being slaves anymore, not being able to be owned anymore. And then, you know, in the future that, you know, unfortunately, way in the future when it should have happened sooner than it did, African American people got to vote, and then follow, I think women were first, whatever the case was. There's amendments in the Constitution that I agree with because obviously they're right, and but being the dyslexic person I am, and if you watch any of my live streams, a lot of times they're riddled with areas where I have a thought and I go to explain the thought, and sometimes it doesn't come out and it's 100% the way I thought it. So I just wanted to clarify that, and that was the last stream. That was the 26th, I believe. Was it the 26th? No, it was Monday, or not Monday, Sunday, so that was the 28th. And that was a bad slip, but it wasn't meant the way it I guess could be taken if you actually watched it back and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure I clarified that, because anyone that knows me knows that I have no problem with people voting and stuff like that, and whatever. I'm a big advocate of freedom. So anyway, so enough of that. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section of the video. After I'm done with this live stream, like soon as YouTube allows me, I'll put it onto my playlist that I have all of my live streams on, or previous live streams. And I pay close attention to my comment section. I'm more than happy to answer the questions. So if you ask a question and it's after the fact, please don't hesitate to go ahead and ask the question, because hey, I will still answer it. The other thing is it's been history that some people have asked questions, and those have eventually ended up being the topic of the live stream. As far as my channel, I've said it many times, the channel, I plan on doing training videos on CompTIA certifications, and then later on Microsoft certifications, stuff like that. But yet again, this channel is a side project, or pet project, I guess you could say. It's a project that I'm trying to kind of get off the ground, but it has to take second fiddle to my full-time job, as well as family time and stuff like that. So if you saw me running around trying to get to where I could do this live stream tonight, it would have been quite comical, I'm sure. But anyway, one last note, if you notice my hair is kind of messed up and my shaving routine is kind of off, that's on purpose. I like to do, every November, I like to do the Movember kind of thing, where you don't shave for a month. And I kind of start, usually yearly, I start like a week early. And so that's the product of this. And so I'm sure throughout the live streams, and if I do actually get my ass in gear and actually post a couple videos, you'll see that this continues to grow out. But last day of November, it will be gone. Again, it's just in recognition, or it's in support, I guess is a better way to say it, for those who have had or have prostate cancer. BIV, the same thing is like, save the tatas and save, recognizing women with breast cancer. It's the same thing for guys. Guys are very susceptible to prostate cancer, and it's one of the major killer in men, and I just like to show my support. So anyway, down and dirty, and just it's fun, whatever. So what I thought I'd do as a topic tonight, and most of what you're going to get during my live stream is a talking head. And you're going to get a talking head because unless someone asks me questions, I got to come up with some kind of content for a live stream. So what you see is what you get unless you ask questions. And as I said, when you do ask questions, I will pause whatever topic I'm talking about, and be happy to answer any questions you have, and especially if they're IT related questions. So kind of go from there. Anyway, the topic that I thought of talking about tonight is I get asked a lot. I get asked a lot through this YouTube channel, and I get asked through my personal life about breaking into the IT industry and how you kind of step up in the industry. And what it breaks down to is it's not much different than any other job. Really, it's not. It's, you know, if you find interest in something, you really want to do something, you have to put forth the work to get where you want to go. So, I mean, I will admit that there are sometimes people that trip into their career, or there's people that get, you know, handed a career or something like that. But it's been my experience that if you want to succeed in the IT industry, you really just have to, like, be willing to do the work, put the work in. The characteristics of a person that wants to get into IT is someone that's interested in learning, and not only learning but continuing to learn. The IT industry is not an industry that you get into and learn something once and never go back to. You know, it's not like becoming a teacher. Now, some teachers would argue with you that you know, they went to school and they have to continue going to school to maintain their credential and all that stuff, and get these credit hours and stuff. And I'm not saying for all teachers, but I would say for most, that's a bunch of bull crap. And the reason why is because I used to work for the Clementon High School District. I used to work for quite a few schools. And if you see anyone that's, you know, hates change more than anyone else, it's a teacher. And they will fight it tooth and nail. They'll go to their union and bitch about it. Change is not accepted by most teachers for some reason. And I would say that the exception of that are the teachers that are new teachers, or the teachers that haven't quite got tenure yet. So they're, you know, typically they're the ones that want to learn new things or try new things, and you know, bring in the new guard, I guess you could say. But after tenure, for some reason, they don't like to learn new things. So in the IT industry, you can't do that. In the 20 years I've been in the industry, I've gone through multiple operating systems. I've gone through multiple form factors. I have gone through multiple chipsets and buses and stuff like that. I'm not someone that started the IT in like the 70s and had to deal with rooms of computers and stuff like that. But I am someone that my first computer was very first computer that I got to work on. I didn't own. I got to work on it. Was a Tandy 80 TS80. Yeah, it was a Tandy TS80. My first exposure to a computer, a friend of mine, his dad, down the street from me, his dad was a guy that did blueprints and stuff for building, and he had one of the first plotters that I had actually seen in person. And the plotter was this thing, this monstrosity that he had built. He built the plotter basically himself, and it was this wood frame that had like a printing bed on it, and then it used string pulleys with a pin, and it would pick up a pin from a home location, and it would use that pin to do the lines on the actual blueprint. And then when it was done doing whatever lines it was doing in whatever color, if it needed another color, it would take the pin, go back, put the pin back, and stuff like that. And again, it was this big monstrosity, and in order to save space, he had fixed it so it would tilt up into the wall like one of those old tilt-out beds. And it was kind of cool. And the computer he used to run that thing was an old like portable computer. And if you look like on Google to portable computers that were like in the 80s, like some of the early ones. These things were monstrosity boxes, you know, with like a CRT screen, a small CRT screen or something like that in it. And this particular one that he had used like tape drives and stuff like that. And that was probably the oldest computer I personally worked on. My first computer, and I've talked about it before in previous streams, but my first computer was a Packard Bell. It was bought for me by my father in 94. I want to say 93, 94. I think it was either my first year of high school or the year before. And by the time I was done with that computer, it was like Franken computer. I had wires all out of it, and I had put a processor in it that wasn't supposed to work but worked, and things like that. But mine was a 486 DX Packard Bell computer. It had, I think it was, if I remember, 8 megabytes of RAM. It was something small like that. Like 8, I mean, when I got 16 megabytes of RAM, I thought I was the bee's knees. And then the hard drive was like a 350 megabyte hard drive. I mean, we weren't even into gigs yet. But yeah, I remember that quite vividly. And that was the first computer I was into. So the way I broke into the industry is as I was saying, I've been through a lot of the operating systems and stuff like that. But the way I broke into the industry is I started volunteering for the schools I worked for as a TA. So I didn't work for, but I went to a local high school here in Bakersfield. And when I went to the high school, I tell my whole life story in a previous live stream. You can definitely go back and watch that. But essentially, I showed that I had interest in computers. My freshman year, I was hacking or trying to hack the computers and get away with stuff I wasn't supposed to be able to get away with. My sophomore year in high school, I went up to a different high school in El Dorado Hills area. And I went to that high school up there, and I got into contact with some guys that were being teacher assistants or school aides. And what they were able to do was that particular school used students as their IT team. So whenever a teacher had a problem with their computer, it was literally, instead of the actual technician going out to the student, it was an actual technician going out to the teacher. It was a student going out to the teacher and basically fixing the teacher's computer, which you can imagine the hijinks that happened there. Upon me returning back to Bakersfield, I worked as a TA for the technician that worked at that school, and I volunteered a lot of time. I volunteered my summers. I did stuff like that, and then I built up enough experience doing Cat 5 wiring, doing terminating ends on cable, doing phone installations, doing phone wiring, doing installation of new switches, replacing our old switches, rebuilding almost every computer on the network. I've personally built my number of PCs that I've personally touched at any given time is easily above 100,000 units. I know there's some people that have more numbers than I do, but I mean, I've literally had my imprint on basically 100,000 PCs in the term of my career. So just a lot. And from high school, I got hired into a company right out. But my theory on being employed and having a career is you don't want to get stagnant. And so I typically am very outspoken about that. Like when I worked for the private colleges, I would tell students all the time, I'd just like, hey, you know, when you pass your A+ exam, when you pass your Net Plus exam, when you pass these things, you're going to have these certifications that are going to help you get in the door to a company that you want to work for. You know, maybe not be the company you want to work for, but it'll start you on a path. You know, like you can go and tell people when you work on their computer that you're an A+ certified technician, and have the proof and be able to you know, let them know that, you know, you're not just telling them you know what you know, you can prove that you know what you know, kind of thing. And so you can build up that experience. And I used to always tell my students that, you know, I could teach you all day, I can teach you for a year, year and a half, but you're not going to learn as much from me as you will in the first 3 months that you actually work for a company that does IT work, or you're actually in the field. You know, I'm teaching you the basics. You actually got to get your hands on the stuff to actually do the hardcore learning part of it, right? So, and get it to where it's second nature. So what you know, I've always been an advocate of like, okay, when you get in the door, if you get your A+ certification, the average employer that's in like a mom or pop shop or a corporation or something like that, you tell them that you got A+ certification, you're Net Plus certified or anything like that, and you're not cocky about it, and they like you, they're going to hire you. More than likely, they're going to hire you into a position which is usually a level 1 service technician. Now, in the IT industry, we follow a system of tiers. So typically it's a 3-tier system, and different companies may call it different things, but essentially what it is level 1 is your entry-level guy. Okay, your entry-level guy that has little to no experience. He may be or may not, he or she may or may not be book smart on the subject. They may or may not be hands-on on the subject. They typically, that's when we look at the certifications. We want to look at the certifications to see that the person at least got some kind of book smarts in the area that we're trying to hire them for, right? So typically what we'll do is we'll hire someone into the level 1 area so that they can get the most interaction with the customer, okay? And most companies will not throw a new technician into the fire pit of hell and say, hey, figure out how to climb out of that pit or you're gonna freaking lose your job. Typically, that's not what happens. Typically what happens is they put you in situations where you have to figure it out. And the great thing is you got the guys in level 2 and level 3 that you can call and ask questions and learn how to fix the problem, right? So typically your level 1 technician is going to be the technician that goes out and actually does the first interaction with the customer. They either do the first interaction and do some basic diagnostics, and if they can fix the problem, they'll try to fix the problem. If they can't fix a problem, typically what they'll do is they'll take the computer back to the office of the company they work for, or if they're doing service or something like that, and they'll try to fix it at the office. 9 times out of 10, most problems get fixed in the home or at the on-site business, but sometimes you have to take a unit back. And this is where the level 1 technician gets a lot of their help, right? So they bring the computer back to the office or the facility or whatever they're working out of. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. But that technician will typically take that computer back to their place of work or whatever, and they'll work on it, and hopefully they've done the proper technique of, you know, trying to come up with a hypothesis and stuff like that and trying to fix that computer in a ordered approach, and they've done documentation and stuff like that. But more likely, if they hit a wall, they're going to do two things. They're going to either search Google and use whatever tools they can find on Google to fix the problem. If they're smart, they'll look in event logs and see what the system is actually doing and what the error is actually reporting, if it does report, and they'll move on from there. And Google is a good search tool to finding solutions, but sometimes you have to understand that some of those people posting the solutions on Google about this or that are sometimes the same people that are having just as much trouble as you are, because they don't really know what they're doing. So you have to know how to vet information. Like when you see a certain solution written, is it written in a format? Is it written in a knowledgeable aspect that tells you that that person has experience in the industry? Or is it just some guy that got something from Google and said, hey, this is what I found, here you go. And then when you ask them deeper for the question, they don't really know the answer, right? So that's your level 1 technician. So typically what your level 1 technician will do is talk to your level 2 technician or in the company. And a level 2 technician is typically a level 1 technician that's been around for usually around 2 years, has gotten used to the systems, has gotten a lot of road warrior hours under their belt because they've had to help out many customers. And they may not know everything, but they know enough. They've done additional research. They've started to pick a path of where they want to go in an industry, right? Your level 1 technician is typically the guy that has to be somewhat of a Swiss Army knife, okay? They sometimes are asked to know how to fix printers. They're asked to know how to fix a hard drive in a PC. They're asked to know how to diagnose software and what's happening with it based on looking at it, right? Your level 2 technician will still do some of that stuff, like very limited, but usually your level 2 technician has gotten to the point where they actually know a path that they want to go, right? They've looked into security, they like security, and they want to go into security, or they thought that working with servers was cool, so they want to become a sysadmin. Or they look at networks and, hey, I like how, when I connect a computer to the network, it goes through a switch, it goes through a router, it does this, VLANs and blah, 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 and they like that aspect, so they go that route. So usually your level 2 technician is a technician that has been a level 1 for a while, decides that they would want to pick a path of the industry, right? Because the industry itself is so big, there's no possible way, absolutely no effing way that anyone can learn everything that's possibly out there, right? It's impossible. There's so much information out there. There's so much technology out there that to learn literally everything about everything that's out there is just, you would have to be like a super savant. And I think even as a savant, it would be problematic for you to learn everything that's out there. Okay, so it's someone that's picked a path, right? So they get really good at what they do. For example, I, as a level 2 technician, was a sysadmin for a corporation. I was also a specialist in certain areas. So like if there was a problem with SharePoint, they came to me. If there was a problem with Orion, SolarWinds Orion, which is a solution that you use as basically a network reporting tool and various things, they came to me. Some stuff in Active Directory, they came to me. Group policy, sometimes they would come to me, right? I had many areas that I was very good at, but that's what would happen. So if, like, one of our guys on our team was really good at PowerShell. Like, he could really program the hell out of PowerShell. And so instead of a level 1 technician coming to me for that question, if they did come to me, or if they didn't, I would refer them to the guy that knew PowerShell or was very good at PowerShell, right? Because he was a level 2 expert technician at PowerShell, right? Or at least, you know, he owned PowerShell as far as we were concerned within our company. Same thing for another technician, got really good at using AS400 systems and iSeries, you know. He didn't like it, he hated the system, but he knew enough that he was the most knowledgeable person on that subject. Now, everyone in the team, the sysadmin team in particular, could do that, some of that work. Like, we knew enough that if the system went down, we could do something, right? But if they were implementing a new piece of software on iSeries, or they were trying to do patch updates on iSeries, it more than likely went to this other technician because he had more knowledge on it, right? It became one of those things like, you touch it, you own it. He just happened to touch it one time and he owned that system. So that's your level 2 technician. Your level 3 technician is a technician that literally becomes the subject matter expert on a particular piece of software, hardware, or anything like that, right? A lot of times in most companies, your level 3 technician is when you call the actual vendor for that particular piece of hardware or software or whatever. You call that vendor and you ask that vendor the questions, right? You may have someone like the company I work for, we have a database administrator, and that guy would be considered a level 3 technician because he knows the databases inside and out. He can program them, he can resolve issues with them, things that me or a coworker would really F up in a database, he would actually be able to take care of pretty easily. So again, there's your tiers, right? So you got, you have to understand when you get in the IT industry, a level 1 technician is kind of your level where you kind of vet. Not only is the company vetting you, but you're a bit vetting yourself. And so there's typically, 2 to 3 types of people that go into being a level 1 technician. So a level 1 technician, you'll have a person that goes in and they just don't get it, and they know it right away. Other people in the company pick up on it that they don't get it and they're not going to get it, and eventually they weed themselves out. Okay, it's an unfortunate thing, but that's typically what it is. If you get into any kind of job and you can't hack it, you typically find a way out, or the company finds a way out for you, right? And it leaves you with 2 other people, right? You either got your people that are interested in moving up in the ladder. I'm one of them, okay? I will not pull any punches on that. I'm that type of person. I'm the type of person that I want to advance. I want to move up. I want to get better at what I do. I want to understand this stuff better. I want to, you know, I'm not happy with staying stagnant, okay? Which leads me to person number 3. Person number 3 gets a job in service desk, help desk, or a level 1 technician position, and proceeds to sit in that position for 9 to 10 years or more. It may eventually become their career. At that point, it is their career, right? If you've been sitting in the same position for 9 to 10 years, it is your career, right? So, you know, they've chosen the help desk or the level 1 technician area as being, that's where they're going to be. That's where they're going to stay. And, you know, when they retire, they'll still be a level 1 technician. You know, great for them. I'm glad. But the problem is if you choose to stay in the same position, in the same area, you can't really start complaining about, oh, I don't get this, oh, I don't get that, oh, this changes or that changes. Number one, if you're in the IT industry, you need to be used to change. Change is always happening. You always have to learn new things. When I started the YouTube channel, I had no idea how to do a freaking YouTube channel. And some would argue that I still don't. I mean, I got figured out how to do like things like, stream control and do like, oh, look, I can do a Discord, even though no one signed up for it yet. I can go on there and I can add my logo to the screen. I can change cams, all with stuff that I've personally figured out, right? So no one taught me this. This is stuff I had to learn, right? It's, I decided I wanted to do a YouTube channel, so I had to go out and learn OBS. And then in the process of me trying to figure things out, OBS changed like 2 or 3 versions. In the process of figuring out, YouTube has decided that they're going to do a whole different interface. In the process of figuring it out, Adobe has changed the way you do video in Premiere, little changes, but it changed enough that I had to go back and learn it. So, and in the current company I work for, I've worked for them for 4 years. And that 4 years, we've gone from, using Windows 2003 servers to Windows 2008 servers, which were old, yes, I agree. But then we went to 2012. Now we're looking at 2016. And yeah, a lot of things remain the same from server 2003 to 2016. But how you do them is different, right? The interface is different. How well PowerShell is integrated is different. Workstations, same thing. We went from using Windows 7 to almost trying to use Windows 8, and then we decided, no, Windows 8 can kiss our ass, right? And then we went into using Windows 10. We got to be able to support those, right? And that's just the operating systems. That's not including all the other crap that's changed. Office changed. The AS400 system didn't change much, but there was little changes in it. Red Prairie is another example. Different VPN clients, different things that we had to go and do, right? So it's an ever-changing thing, and you can't really bitch about it, right? If you go and you're a service desk technician and your job is to help people with their cell phones, decommissioning their cell phones or renewing their cell phones or upgrading their cell phones or helping them figure out how to do email on their cell phones, you can't bitch about the client not knowing how to use their cell phone and say that you're tired of holding their hand when that is literally your job. If that's literally your job, you can't bitch about it. If you're tired of doing your job, go do another job. Find another job. Don't stay in the same position, right? And I could say that about any position, really, if we want to be honest about it. If you're not happy with your current position, you find another one, okay? Because if you're not happy where you're at, the likeliness that you're still providing a benefit to your company is pretty slim, right? You're just churning out the same work day in and day out. And who wants that? I mean, your employer doesn't want that. You could probably care less about your employer because all you want is a paycheck going home. But if that's your attitude on it, don't bitch. You're getting a paycheck getting home. I know I'm going on a tangent, but really, sometimes for some reason, it rubs me the wrong way that people go into a job that is really supposed to be used as like a stepping stone. So you have to look at a layer or a level. I keep on saying layer. You have to look at a level 1 job as being a stepping stone into the layer or level 2 or 3 position. You can't look at a level 1 position and, some people, it's a career. They'll go there, they'll stay there, like I've been saying. but you can't go into a stepping stone job and then get pissed off that it's like, you know, whatever. It's like, I'm going to piss off a lot of people here, and well, I don't really care. McDonald's, not talking anyone down, but McDonald's was never meant to be a career. Like, never. Like, there's a few people that will go up the management route. There's a few people that will become like assistant manager or a store manager or move up the chain, right? We know that. It's McDonald's. It's literally like you sit in front of a griddle, you flip a burger, and that's all you do. Are there people that need to do that? Yeah. But you can't be surprised when what you're doing there is an entry-level job, because it quite literally is that, and then you find yourself stuck there. And I know that there's a lot of work factors for everyone and stuff like that, but you have to have the drive to move your career forward. You can't expect other people to have the drive for you. You can't expect a job that you went into remain the same the whole time that you were there to change for you, okay? If I go and apply for a job, and let's say I'm applying to be a gas station attendant. I've been a gas station attendant, and I worked as a gas station attendant for, you know, multiple years, all through high school, and I did some work when I worked for the high school district. You know, they didn't pay enough, so I got a second job working as a gas station attendant. Now I learned very quickly, I don't want to be a gas station attendant, right? It's an entry-level job. It's enough to put on a resume to say, hey, I can hold a job. That literally is what an entry-level job is about. An entry-level job is they know they're going to cycle through people like crazy, right? They know that they're not going to keep someone consistently at an entry-level job. You can't go to McDonald's and expect to have a career there, because McDonald's is very well aware that people are going to start a job there. Some people are going to work there for 6 months and say, later bitches, I'm out, right? They're going to do that. It's just going to happen, and they know that. So if you go into that position and you don't show your management, you don't show people that you have a drive to move forward, they're going to let you stay and rot in that position, okay? And if the position was set up one way when you started, and like McDonald's, hamburger flipper has never changed, right? They go in for the years that hamburger flipper has been a hamburger flipper at McDonald's, that's all it's ever been. So if you went to work for McDonald's in a hamburger flipper job, and then 10 years down the line, you're pissed off that you're still in a job as a hamburger flipper, but you never showed anyone that you had interest in anything else, and you never drove yourself, like give the drive to get out of that position, you have no one else to blame but yourself that you're in that position. I mean, and again, I understand that people's situations are different. I understand that. But really, it's about, I know I've gone on this whole tangent, but no one's watching. Maybe one person's watching now. To the person that joined, if you want to ask questions, feel free. My channel is typically about IT industry stuff. Today's topic, I'm talking about how, getting a position in IT and advancing in IT. I'm open to questions, so chat's open. You're free to pose a question in chat, and again, I'll send out a reminder that if you're watching this video when I post it after, and you still have questions and you didn't catch it live, you're more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section and pose your question there. Until anyone asks a question, I'm just going to continue on my tangent, and if you find it entertaining or you have some comments on it, I'm more than happy to go with that. So where I was at is, I'm just saying that if you have to realize in a career, in any career, especially in IT, if you want to move up in the structure, if you want to move up anywhere, you got to show people interest. And this is something I had to tell my students time and time again, right? You have to care about you, and you have to care about where you want to go, and you have to care about your career and how you want to advance in anything, right? So being that if you want to advance in a career or anything like that, you have to let people know, because your manager is going to tell you that they care, right? They're going to tell you that they care. They're going to tell you that, you know, hey, you know, we want you to advance and stuff like that. But really, they're just trying to do their job, right? So if their job is to make sure the department makes a certain amount of money that month, that's what they're going to be focused on. You can't depend on other people to care about you if you don't care about yourself. So you really have to have that drive, and you have to let people know. You know, when I got my current job, I told my wife's texting me. My wife has a problem figuring out the computer sometimes, and obviously she's trying to watch right now, so she I guess happened to figure out the volume on her computer. Anyway, so the whole thing is on that is for anyone to care, you have to care, and you have to be the one that drives your career forward. Give you an example. When I got hired with the current job that I have now, I told friends and family, I said, look, I got hired with this place, and they're like, hey, congratulations, great job. I'm so happy for you. You know, you'll never have to find another job again. You can work there the rest of your career and blah, 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 and yada, 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 and all that great crap, right? But me, as I've said earlier, I want to grow. I want to move forward. So I'm not happy with staying in the same position year in, year out. You know, I want to grow. So by doing that, I told friends and family, and I even set myself a limit. I said, okay, I'm going to take this job. Looking at my resume, I have history of some jobs where I was only there for a year, or sometimes a little bit less than a year. And that was because of certain things like, you know, 2008 was a tough year, and I had to change jobs because, you know, I had to close my business down and go work for another company. And then when I worked for that company, they, you know, came to me and said, hey, man, we're having problems with money right now. You're the last one in, so you're the first one out. I'm sorry. If anything goes better in the future, we'll hire you back, but I'm sorry, we got to let you go. You know, I understand that. But on the resume, it looks like, okay, this guy had to shut down his company. He went to go work for another job, only worked for the other job for 8 months or 9 months. What happened there? And then I went to work for another company, and I worked for that company for, you know, 9 to 10 months. They had money problems. I got let go from there. You know, it looks bad on the resume. So when I got the current position I have, I said, look, and I told family this, I said, look, if you know, I'm going to go and do that job, and I'm going to work there, and if in 3 years I'm in the same position, I'm going to check out. And my mom, of all people, took the most offense to it. She's like, how could you work for such a great company like that and just decide you're going to leave? Well, it's very simple. I don't want to stay in the same position year in, year out. I want to advance. I want to move forward. If the company I'm working for can't do that for me, I'm going to find a company that will allow me to do it, right? So I worked for the company for 3 years, and lo and behold, right before I was ready to start kind of floating my resume, I got an opportunity. And it was an opportunity that I kind of wanted to get into.
Now, gee whiz, how did they find out that was an opportunity I wanted to get into? I let them know. I told them that I was interested in it. I told them what I was doing to get there, right? I would, at that point, I had been a sysadmin for different companies for, 17 years, 16 years. I had been a sysadmin ever since I graduated high school. I was a technician a very short time before I became a actual IT manager and actually working with systems and stuff like that. So I was a sysadmin for a while, and it's like, okay, could I be a sysadmin the rest of my career? Yeah, I could. Could I still do it today? Yeah, I could. I've stayed up on all the technology because you have to, right? But, when you're sitting at your desk and it gets to the point where doing the same thing in different ways, again, because everything changes in the IT industry, doing the same thing over and over again gets old. And you're just like, okay, I want to do something else. What could I go into that uses the skills that I already have? I may need to pick up some additional skills, but I can use that starting base of skills that I've already acquired. I can lump on these other skills, and I think I'll be damn good at it because I have that underlying structure, just like in the IT tier, in the tiers of IT, right? Level 1, level 2, level 3. Just like I said, you have a level 1, entry level, level 2 becomes kind of an expert in understanding systems, and level 3 is like a subject matter expert, right? It's all built on top of each other. You're building a foundation, right? So if school builds you the foundation of like being employable or, understanding how to work with management and stuff like that, then your next level is being a tech level 1, your next one is 2 and 3. You're building on that experience and so on and so forth. So that's basically what I did with my job. Is I said, look, I want to stick around for 3 years. After 3 years, I'm going to look at my options. I'm going to float. I may start listening to the headhunters, things like that. But during that, especially in the last year of that 3-year period, I started letting my management know, like little things. I didn't go to my management and say, hey buddy, I better get something quick or I'm out of here. Hey buddy, haven't you thought of promoting me? No. When I saw a position float or something like that, I tried for it. If I got it, cool. If I didn't, I didn't. Okay. Either way, they know that I'm looking at advancing. They know I want to move to a different area or have more responsibility. So, when a position would fly, I'd apply. Receive it? Not? Cool. Okay, whatever. I don't care. Well, at year 3, when I'm sitting there getting ready to walk out the door, not really, I hadn't applied for jobs yet and stuff like that, but I was sharpening up my resume. I had, headhunters hitting me up. I had some job offers that I was kind of considering. My manager called me into his office and said, hey, headquarters wants to do this. I remember you saying that you had some interest in it. Would you be interested? Are you still interested? And I said, hell yeah, I'm interested. It's right where I want to be. And he goes, I thought so. I really thought you wanted, that's where you wanted to go. And so when they mentioned it, the first name that came to my mind was you. And the only reason why my name came to his mind when that position came up is for the past year, I had been telling him, I'm interested in security. I think our particular area doesn't have a security person right now. We all kind of focus on it, but we really need someone to focus on it, like as a full-time job. I'm moving forward with, you know, I think that is something I'm interested in, so I'm going to do that. So I signed up for school. I started studying for security type certifications, you know, and just showing that interest, right? And so I did this for about a year. And then finally, I get pulled in his office and he's like, guess what? Headquarters wants to do this. And what was interesting about it is it was one of those things where it was like, look, we're going to try it out. Your job is going to be 80% what you still do. Like you're a sysadmin. You're going to do 80% of that, and you're going to do 20% of this. I said, okay. And there's like, are you willing to do that? Hell yeah, I am. Okay. Some people out there would say, no. If you're not going to give me more money, I ain't doing it. No. I was like, no, I'd be happy to. Well, it's a little bit more work, but you know, it's 80-20, blah, blah, blah. No problem. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to move forward. I wanted to get into that area. So what happens then is not long after that, not very long after that, that 80-20 split, 80% being a sysadmin, 20% being a security guy, went out the door within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, I became just security. I was 100% security. And I had this new opportunity and new thing that I was doing. And it all started because I told my manager, look, I'm really interested in doing this. It wasn't even an option. My job didn't even, my employer didn't even have the position, okay? And all I did was tell my manager, look, I'm really interested in this. This is something I'm really looking at. And you have to show that. You have to show drive. You have to show that you want to go places. I even told my manager one time, I said, look, you know, I want to stick around here, but, you know, I'm going to start kind of, you know, seeing what's out there. I've had some headhunters call me and stuff like that. And I'm not telling them this because I'm like, hey, I want to get out of here, or hey, guess what? Give me some more money or I'm out of here. None of that. It's just, I am interested in change. I am interested in moving forward, right? And because I let my manager know that, because I talked to him and I was communicative with him and I did my job, and anytime there was a new opportunity, anytime there was a new project or any project that was getting done that, you know, maybe I didn't have 100% role in, but I could help with, I try to jump in on. I showed drive. I showed that I wanted to do things. I wanted to get up there, you know, and it didn't stop there. I got that position and I started having to work with other people. And I started letting those other people know, hey, I really like what I'm doing now. I really like it. Like, it's pretty awesome, you know? And I'm learning a lot and things like that. And it's just, it's cool. And I drive, I work hard for it, and I put my time in, and I don't put my time in as in I show up to work, sit at a desk and kind of thing. I go and I really work towards what I'm doing. And when I had the opportunity to go visit the home office, I let the home office know, hey, I really like what I'm doing. I really like being part of this team. And because I did those things, I'm now getting these other opportunities that I never thought were in the cards, you know? And so it's something that's really, really cool. And it's something that you can do in any job you have. You just have to let, speaking of people, I have a friend who got me the job at that, not got me, but introduced me to that job when I was homeless and working for another employer. He introduced me to that job, and it's turned out to be this amazing thing. So, you know, you just gotta let people know what you want to do, and you have to care about your future, and you have to have the drive to move forward. If you don't have the drive, if you don't have the want, no one else is going to have it for you. You can't make other people care about you if you don't care enough about yourself to push the subject forward, right? So the good news is if you're seeing this channel, seeing this video, seeing this live stream, the background in the near future is going to change. I can't go too deep in detail, but once it happens, it happens. Background's going to change. Physical location hopefully will change here pretty soon. So some exciting stuff moving forward. You know, I wish everyone the best for tonight. I've been in it for an hour now. I'm going to break away and enjoy the rest of the Hallows Eve, I guess you could say. And I do these streams every Sunday and every Wednesday of the week. And I do them from 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Please come and join me. Next live stream, I'll have a different topic and go deeper and probably ramble some more until I get some more viewers and go from there. So anyway, thank you very much. I wish you guys all the best. Happy Halloween. Enjoy the rest of your holiday and see you next time.